When I was 16, I was pursued by someone who was 12 years older than me, and then that turned into an inappropriate relationship. That person also happened to be my high school teacher while I was still in high school. This is my perspective on being 28, turning 29, because that is the age she was when she pursued me. I was born and raised in the most conservative borough of New York City. When people think of New York City, they think of acceptance. They think of the freedom to express yourself. But when it comes to where I live, that's not always welcomed here. I was a sophomore in high school when I had her as a teacher. She didn't like me. I was a soccer player. I walked the halls like who I was because I was just confident in myself. She also didn't like me because she didn't like the soccer coach. So she had this like little vendetta out for me, I think, from the beginning. And I was a sarcastic child. I will admit that. I'm still a sarcastic adult. But I would respond in class, and there was like a tension there. It just started this like weird back and forth of, she started like acting like she didn't like me, but it was kind of like masked, you know, like that saying, when someone's mean to you, it means they like you, is kind of how she treated me. And then she got to know me more, I guess. Her demeanor shifted. I know it's over 12 years now, and I honestly haven't stopped talking about my story since it's happened, but that doesn't mean I'm not over it. Some people could say, get over it. You know, they want me to be silent about it. But I think that's the problem with this issue, is that so many people just sweep it under the rug and no one really takes it seriously. Even if you're not over any trauma that you've experienced, that's okay. You don't have to go at other people's paces and what they deem acceptable. But even when you do speak up about it, again, some people just don't take it seriously. But I think it just comes from lack of understanding, lack of empathy. Because if you were truly in my shoes, you would want to speak up too, to prevent other people from having to go through this. Last summer, one of my favorite artists came out with a song, and it had to do with her now being the same age her abuser was when they were dating. And it kind of just gave me a perspective that I didn't realize. There was a trend on social media where people were making videos to the song and they were exposing their abusers. I posted a video of mine and I chose not to show anything, just the relationship. I blurred everything out. So many people commented on it that they had similar interactions, and some people are still in those interactions, and I was just shocked but not surprised that so many people could relate to what I went through when I was 16. Honestly, if that song didn't come out last year, I don't know how inclined I would be to make it, but for the people that don't have voices and are scared to speak up, this is why I'm making this. She would single me out a lot, and it was uncomfortable. We had a dance called semi-formal where she took pictures there with her camera. And it really begun because of that. I wanted the photos that she took, so she said, email me. And those emails started turning into things that had nothing to do with those photos or school. So it would go into the summer and just staying connected that way. But when I got these photos, I realized that she took a lot of creepy shots. It wasn't just like pictures of me at the dance. It's like me in the background or me not like paying attention, you know? It was just odd. My childhood friend in my class had said like to me that she was playing favorites and it was noticeable, and I had told her like, hey, so and so notices you singling me out, and then she went on this rampage of stay the F away from me, I can't have people thinking we're together, all of these things. And I was like, okay, I'm just letting you know that it's uncomfortable that my friends are noticing this. She just like flipped a script and like tried to make it like, you know, it wasn't what I thought it was. And yeah, everyone else is seeing something different than what they think they're seeing. That happened like the end of my sophomore year. I was still in her class. I'd received the award. The email started. And then the summer came. So we didn't really have communication. I saw her at a swim club once, I think. And I think after that is when we started texting.
Take one.
Action!
I reached out to some of my classmates, people who were both my friends and people I became friends with after the fact. And it's so funny to see not the lack of support, but how hesitant people are to participate in helping me put this project together. Everyone's so like far removed from everything, and since it's attached to a sexual crime, I feel like people don't want to be associated with it, even though they were just a friend supporting me at the time. It's not like they were involved in it. So I reached out to a few people, and one person I'm friends with now, who is also part of the LGBTQ community, gave me some feedback on that time. We weren't friends at the time, but she does have a recollection of that time period and what was happening. So she was kind enough to send me something, but didn't want to be named.
I feel like it's important for me to tell you guys that this isn't about my school. This isn't about the individual that did this to me. I am just trying to bring awareness to this topic in the best way that I know how to. And that is through my story. My story is just one of thousands. I know people like to pry and get all of the dirty details, but sometimes that's just not necessary. I am just glad this didn't happen in a time of cancel culture, especially with all of the keyboard warriors out there. I'm not too sure how 17-year-old me would have taken it.
I decided to reach out to one of the staff members that I was close with in high school. I was extremely nervous to do it. I don't know, maybe there's just shame involved, but I was just hoping that she would help me get perspective on that time from an adult in that situation, other than my peers, other than what I have in my head. She agreed, and then she asked me if there were any specific questions that I wanted answered. So I haven't opened this yet. This is the first time I'm seeing this. She said, I was 29 years old when this occurred, which is kind of the theme of everything. I had no clue that she was 29, that's why I asked how old she was, which my teacher at the time was 29 as well, and now I'm 28 turning 29. I felt fully capable of handling the situation due to my training and education background. From day one at the high school, I felt supported and confident with the counseling department. Never once did I question my colleagues' professional opinions on matters. Being able to have group sessions and follow my students through the years was one of the things I loved most about the school's counseling setup. As far as I can recall, I did not notice a change in your behavior, nor did you come to me or less than you were prior. Our sessions, both group and individual, seemed consistent to my recollection, when the situation was reported to me by your peers, I immediately reported it to the appropriate authorities, and of course you were my first priority. My thoughts were only on how best to handle what has happened. My meetings with you following the report were only about you, making sure I can do anything possible to be there as your counselor and assist you in any way I was trained to do. I have grown as an individual because of my psychology and counseling background from the situations I've dealt with. In addition, you all helped me grow as a counselor. I'm proud of you for wanting to help others, and I'm always happy to hear from my former students. Please keep me posted on how you are doing, and know I'm proud of you. I don't know, it's a lot to take in. I did ask a lot more in-depth questions, and I said, please answer what you are comfortable with. I don't know, I feel like I'm sweating. Can you pause this for a second? No? I was hoping for more perspective. I think that when people address this, it's very polished instead of real. Yes, it's very generalized. I just want a real, raw perception. Like, by speaking the truth, is anyone gonna get in trouble? I don't know. I appreciate her taking the time to speak to me, and it's not a comfortable topic. It's not an easy thing. That's why I'm trying to get it out there and normalize speaking about these things. I just, as someone who is looking for clarity or wants to bring light to this, I just wish that I had more information, but I feel like a lot of people that I speak to kind of just dance around what has happened.
I almost feel crazy for trying to speak to an adult about that time. I feel like the damage is done when it comes to my situation. Why in 2023 is it still so taboo to talk about things like this?
When I was 15, 16 years old, I started coming out to certain friends because I felt comfortable. We would all watch these certain shows together, which started to have lesbian couples in it. And the way I would come out was I'd say, like, oh, I think I'm more like this character. And none of them really, like, cared, even though, like, we all grew up Catholic in a Catholic school. None of them shunned me for that. My teacher was openly gay in this Catholic school, which it didn't seem odd to me. I never really like questioned or felt weird about it. I feel like my whole Catholic education, people are raised to see that gay people are a sin, but I don't remember ever having that lesson. I never felt like I didn't belong. I just felt like I was normal. But having this gay teacher in front of the classroom, it was like a person I could turn to. It was like having a mentor. It was answered questions, it was human Google, if you will. So, yes, there were resources online, but not as many as there are today. So I felt like I finally had someone I can confide in, which there were moments where she encouraged me to try being with a guy just to see if I like it before anything happened with her. I had a best friend who is no longer my friend, and I confided in him. I said, first I came out to him, and he didn't believe me. He's like, how could you be gay? Even though he was gay himself. I had told him, like, I've kissed someone, like, I know for sure, and, like, I felt like I had to prove it to him. So I told him what happened. And, of course, he's friends with girls from my school. And he told one of the girls in my school what was happening. So then, of course, You don't just keep that information to yourself, you start spreading it like wildfire. And it got into the mouths of the wrong people, and the girl with the poor attendance in her class, I think, was threatening, where if you didn't pass me, I'll, you know, get this out to everyone type of thing. I think the story of my yearbook photo is like the last straw before everything got out. The night before I was supposed to take my yearbook photo, which was in my junior year. I didn't take my senior pictures in my senior year. So in my junior year, I took my photos while she was still in the school. What happened was, it was a Saturday. She had gotten a new phone, and she was like, "Can you come over and help me? I want you to teach me how to use it." And at this point, she had already told me we had to end things because her fiance lost her job and she's going to be around more, so she can't really sneak the way she has been. She was like, insert fiance's name here. She was like, "So and so wants to get to know you better. She's going to come pick you up. We're all going to just hang out. You could teach me how to use my phone, whatever." So I was like, this is weird. Why does she want to be my friend? I get picked up down the block from my house, and it was a awkward car ride of me and her fiance driving to her house, just like knowing what has happened already, and I don't know how much she knows. And I get to the house, and there are like candles lit. It was like kind of like dim, chill Saturday night. So I'm sitting there nervous. I don't know. She was asking me how to use her new phone that she got. And I think she took the yearbook out at some point and was like pointing to the girl that I would hang out with sometimes, and she was like making fun of her in front of her fiance, like, "Oh, this is who Alexa's hanging out with." But it was just weird vibes. So the whole time I was texting my friend like how uncomfortable I was, and at that point, I think she had a permit. I don't know if she had her license or if she just had her license and she didn't have a car. So I was just like wishing she could come pick me up because it was too far to walk, and it was just not a good idea to walk home. We're at her house, candles are lit, her fiance is there, and then at some point she's like peeing with the door open as her fiance was like fixing the Wi-Fi router. It was just like a weird turn of events. I'm like, now looking back, I'm like, were they priming me for some sort of threesome situation? I don't know. But then my dad starts to call me because I'm not where I said I was going to be. And he's aggravated and yelling at me, and he's like, screaming at me, "Where are you? Tell me right now." I think it was to the point where the fiance was just like, "Okay, I'll drive you home right now," because my dad was just like screaming at me to get home. And the whole time I was just texting my friend and wanting to leave because it was just so uncomfortable. So now I have my senior year picture the next morning. I look like a zombie, in my opinion. But that was what was happening. So from those texts and everything that happened that Monday morning, so Sunday I took my senior year photo, that Monday morning is when my friends went with all of that to the guidance counselor and told them, this is what's happening between Alexa and this teacher. And they took like Tumblr evidence of mine and posts that I wrote, and that's when I got pulled out of class and questioned. I was told, deny, deny, deny. Don't, if anyone ever asks you, don't own up to it. And I tried, but my face doesn't lie when I'm not okay. So my guidance counselor was like, you're saying no, but your face is saying yes. So she let me go back to class, and then she came and she called me again and asked me the same question, and I just let it all flow out. I don't know exactly, I don't remember exactly how she posed the question. But I just said no to it. And then when I came back the second time, I just said, yes, it's true. This has been happening. And just kind of like going through the motions there.
Once the school was made aware of the situation, they called my dad immediately. They asked him to come down to the school because there's been an incident. My principal sat us all at a table and proceeded to tell my dad what was going on. And that is how everyone found out I was gay. I didn't get to come out on my own terms. I didn't even get to figure out if that was really who I was. I don't think people realize how damaging it is for someone. It may seem like such a small thing and it's only words, but it's so much more than that.